Shine Canvas. Welcome in. I hope everybody's doing good on this Sunday. I know if you're local to me, we are getting after it as far as some heat goes. So you're probably in the air condition. Gives you more chance to watch me on YouTube. So we are going to be working on until we finish, and I don't have the designated amount of times, but until we finish in our Sunday strengths and in my week live events on YouTube, we're going to be working on transforming your marriage journey, which is going to end up turning into a book that I will write about the things that are needed to be able to really transform what you have going on or what you're doing in your marriages. So, um, I'm taking my own story and then the things that I've helped people with to put that together and give you guys what you need so you can fast forward your process instead of having to go through all the hard things that some of us has gone through in our relationships. Instead of you having to go through all of that, here are the situations that you need to be able to start building differently. Okay, and so we're going to start today with the first part of the things, the mistakes that lead to divorce. And so um, a lot of times it's a subtle scenario that happens, but we can kind of boil them down to three situations that I want to talk to you guys about. That I think if you're able to change this around, these three things around right now, you can start heading in a different direction. Okay, and so the first one is you not being able to really understand commitment and how commitment goes. And even more so, you don't have an idea or a concept of a covenant type of relationship. And so when you think of commitment to something, and maybe in your life, you've been able to commit to things and then let go of that commitment fairly easily. Um, but there's a word that to me has deeper meaning that you could probably install inside of your vocabulary and your way of being in your relationship. And that is the idea of covenant. And the idea of covenant means that you are actually connected to your word to the point of, man, till death do us part. And that's what most or a lot of scenarios have done in their relationship is they have put that inside of their relationship concept as far as like when they're getting married and the talks that they're having, but they don't actually know how to live that out. And so if that's your vision, everything changes in the relationship. In my own experience, what I know is that uh, it was not about the commitment as much as it was about making the relationship work for me, right? And so that causes problem, and by accident you might have that same kind of look where it's, is this relationship working for me, instead of I'm committed to making this relationship work, or I'm going to follow through with the covenant relationship that I have decided to join. And so that shifts everything, because if you feel like there's a way out of the relationship, then the way that you do things is totally different. And for anybody who has been through a divorce or hardship in their relationship, you'll see your mind slipping on, well, I could just leave, or leaving is a possibility. And in those cases, it changes the game a whole lot, because that ability to leave, or that sense that you might leave, your partner feels that, you feel that, and a halfway in way of working out difficult things in a relationship isn't a good way to work out things in a relationship. All right, so the second thing is you holding on to grudges that allow you to minimize and reduce the person you're with. And so you may not use these exact same words that I use, but recognize the story. And so something happens in your relationship where you feel hurt. And maybe it's not just one something, it's a lot of somethings that happen in your relationship where you feel like your partner doesn't have your back, or you feel like your partner has hurt you in some way or another, in a way that doesn't make you feel special to them. And in those scenarios, you start growing something like a callus inside of your heart that allows you to start decreasing who your partner is in your mind. So remember, when we first meet somebody, we have this like they can do no wrong type scenario in our mind, in our imaging. And then as the relationship starts to go on, there's little violations and scenarios that your mind grabs onto. And if you're not careful, you start reducing who your partner is, and you start thinking of them as less than. And the thing that makes that the challenge is that if you don't see somebody as important, or if you don't raise them in your mind about who they are, then you're able to allow yourself to go and lose that person one way or the other, right? So you might get to overworking, you might start focusing on other things, you might be cheating. There could be a lot of different scenarios that go on that allow you to not put this person important in your life, or even make the scenarios that would mean that you guys get better together in your life, because you've reduced who that person is. Okay, and so that would be the second one, is the idea that you're going to hold on to something, or you allow your heart to callous to a point where maybe your grudge turns into you minimizing or reducing the person who you're supposed to be loving. The third mistake that's going to lead you to divorce is for you to isolate uh, and individualize your focus, which is dangerous in that when you start thinking like, I got this, I'll figure it out, I'm not going to join with my partner anymore, I'm going to go do things that um, mean that I validate that my experience is bad. The more that you start doing that, you start getting that kind of advice, you start having those kinds of conversations with your friends, or you don't have any conversations with your friends or advice, and you just start trying to do things on your own, then there's going to be a scenario where your approach is no longer a committed together approach. Instead, it's an individual, I'm looking out for myself approach. Okay. And so these three things start wearing on your relationship, and the how to do it different seems kind of obvious, but I'm going to give it to you anyways, right? So the first thing is you ultimately need to be able to fully commit to your relationship and turn it into the idea of covenant. The important thing about a covenant idea is that covenant used to be a scenario where people were bound in blood, and if they didn't fulfill their covenant, it would mean death for them. And so you have to think that deep on what you're doing inside of your relationship, and get to the point where you see the commitment that you've made in your relationship as a really big deal. And so making that um, a situation that you embed in your heart is going to be useful. The second thing that you'll have to do is you need to be able to have conversations that help to explain this with your partner, that help to explain what's going on for you. But more than anything, on the inside, you need to be able to do some work that says, look, my partner is going to make mistakes, and they're going to make some real hurtful mistakes. What I need to do is be able to move forward with those mistakes that are made, and allow myself to grow the idea that they are special, and that they can do good things in their life, and that they're capable of being better in their life. I need to grow those ideas more than anything, instead of me allowing growth of callous inside my heart, or grudges to allow me that will allow me to reduce my partner. And so instead of me doing that, I need to be able to raise up who my partner is to me, and see if I can grow that a whole lot more than the grudges that I have in my heart. And then finally, the individualization and isolation. So instead of you trying to do things by yourself, and you thinking like, oh, I've got this situation, trust that you don't have this situation. Trust that you can get through the scenario if we can put the right kinds of things in place. And so, good places to start joining is one, with your partner. Two is a spirituality. I think that will be really useful. But three, be focused on growth about how to do it, not how to explain the hardship that's being done. And that's a huge difference, right? So if I go into therapy and the therapist tells me like, oh, well, yeah, your partner shouldn't be doing that and you should leave them if they do X, Y, and Z. Well, that's not the right situation to be in, because that's creating more of an individual. But if you can go in and interact with somebody who says, look, this is what it means for us to get better in these scenarios. It doesn't mean that your partner is right or wrong, but this is what it means for us to get better in these scenarios. And this is how we continue our growth. That kind of focus changes everything and starts uniting you or giving you places to unite. And then you start finding people who are of the same mindset that says, look, I don't need to villainize who my partner is or what they've been doing. I need to grow me as much as possible and see what the results are of that. So if you can put those three things together, it's going to give you a good chance of being able to strengthen your relationship, but then also stay away from being in a scenario where you and your family have to realize a divorce scenario. Okay, you guys, we're going to keep talking about the transforming your marriage journey in our conversations over the next few weeks. And then I also will, as an added like bonus, I guess, is I'll put a little Bible study with each of it through the week that will help for those of you who are interested, that will help give us a added support scenario if you're struggling right now or just want to be better inside of your marriage. All right, if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. I can help you with sorting out some of the things that I've said in here. And then two, make sure you subscribe so you can have notification for the next install that we do in transforming your marriage journey. We'll talk to you soon.